Hi everyone, I'm Anita Sharma. You're watching AnewZ live from Baku. Here's what's making news right now. In a surprise visit to Kiev, Olaf Scholz promises new German military aid for Ukraine. Turkey's foreign minister says Syria must reconcile with the opposition. Island nation Vanuatu calls for global climate action at the UN's highest court. We begin with the German chancellor arriving in Kiev for an unannounced visit, unveiling a new 650 million euros package of military aid to be delivered in December. Olaf Scholz vowed Berlin would remain Ukraine's biggest backer in Europe.
German Chancellor Olaf Scholz and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky attended the military drone exhibition, highlighting collaborative projects combining German AI and Ukrainian manufacturing. Scholz reiterated Germany's commitment to supporting Ukraine, mentioning the newly pledged 650 million euros military aid package set to arrive by the end of the year.
This December, a sixth IRIS-T SLM system and further Patriot launchers, as well as more Girard anti-aircraft tanks. In 2025 too, we'll supply further air defense systems, howitzers, strike and reconnaissance drones, artillery ammunition, as well as 6 Sea King attack helicopters, just to mention a few of what is to come.
President Zelensky and Olaf Scholz also paid tribute to fallen Ukrainian soldiers at a makeshift memorial in central Kiev on Monday. An unidentified speaker explained that the new drone model was a result of a German-Ukrainian partnership integrating German artificial intelligence with Ukrainian drone manufacturing. The speaker emphasized that the combination of German technology and Ukrainian production methods provided unique advantages over similar drones in its class. The two leaders listened to presentations of drones like the Stark and the Ultra Strike and shook hands with several speakers before departing.
56 people were killed following clashes between fans and a stampede during a football match in the town of AnewZ in southeast Guinea, according to the government. Violence erupted after rival fans stormed the field following a controversial referee decision in the final match of a tournament honoring Guinea's military leader Mamadi Doumbouya. The Syrian National Army fully surrounds the Tel Rifat district north of Aleppo as part of Operation Dawn of Freedom. The campaign aims to stop the Kurdistan Workers' Party and People's Protection Unit's terror groups from creating a strategic corridor to northeastern Syria.
The Syrian National Army has captured several villages around Tel Rifat on the northwest of Syria. They have also blocked key supply routes between Raqqa and Aleppo and secured the Kuvaris military airport, a former air defense base. The district of Tel Rifat has been under Kurdistan Workers' Party and People's Protection Unit's terror group's control since 2016. These groups displaced over 250,000 civilians from the area, forcing them to take refuge near the Turkish border. They also used Tel Rifat as a base to launch attacks on nearby settlements. SNA launched its operation to stop the groups from expanding their influence and creating a terror corridor. The operation is ongoing as the SNA works to regain full control of Tel Rifat and its surroundings.
As fighting continues between the opposition and Syrian government forces in the northern part of the country, Iran and Turkey's foreign ministers met to discuss the latest developments. Ankara called on Damascus to reconcile with the opposition, while Tehran says Syria should not become a home for terrorist groups.
Developments in Syria show the need for the Syrian government to reconcile with its people and the opposition, and Turkey is ready to contribute to such a dialogue, Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan said Monday. His comments after a meeting with Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi followed a rapid assault in which rebels reached Aleppo nearly a decade after they were forced out of the northern Syrian city.
What all the regional actors and other actors need to do is to open the dialogue channels between the regime and the opposition, find a realistic area for a solution, and to prevent more blood, tears, and destruction.
Turkey, Russia, and Iran have regularly held talks on Syria's future as part of what is known as the Astana peace process. While Russia and Iran support President Bashar al-Assad, NATO member Turkey backs the political and armed opposition. Araghchi said that Tehran and Ankara agreed Syria should not become a home for terrorist groups, while blaming the US for the latest developments.
The Islamic Republic of Iran declares its full support for Syria, the Syrian government, the Syrian people, and the Syrian army. Just as we stood by the government, army, and people of Syria in the past, we'll continue to stand with them in the future.
Opposition forces led by the Hayat Tahrir al-Sham militant group launched an incursion on November 27th into a dozen towns and villages in the northwestern province of Aleppo, which was controlled by Syrian President Bashar al-Assad's forces. 2 days later, footage of the rebels roaming Aleppo city surfaced as they claimed they have liberated the city. Syrian and Russian fighter jets subsequently bombed opposition-held areas in the north of the country, with Syrian white helmets releasing footage claiming strikes were targeting rebel-held cities of Idlib and Aleppo.
Workers went into a strike of warning at 9 Volkswagen plants across Germany. This after the automotive company announced layoffs, pay cuts, and the closing of 3 plants.
Protesters gathered at the headquarters of Volkswagen, a major German car manufacturer with thousands of employees. Demonstrators also held protests at other key plants, such as those in Hanover, Emden, Salzgitter, and Brunswick.
We are totally ready to go on strike. The mood is obviously subdued since they show absolutely no goodwill. We are all scared. Many of those who are nearing retirement are really scared that they could lose their job now. I'm a mother of 2 children. I commute over an hour every day to come to work here. I love my job. I don't want to lose it.
As a result of the protest, several hundred cars were not produced in Wolfsburg. The protest took place at a time when the company is facing declining revenues. If no agreement is reached in the upcoming wage negotiations, these strikes could escalate into longer stoppages or even unlimited strikes. The 4th round of negotiations will take place on December 9, and either sides will reach a compromise or prepare for larger-scale protests.
I believe we must fight for what we deserve. It's unacceptable that it's always us, the little people, who are the losers. We have to fight for our jobs and our future, and for the people who will follow in our footsteps. 20 years ago, we saw the same drama. Already at the time, we accepted wage cuts, and now it's back to zero.
The company's spokesperson stated that Volkswagen respects the workers' right to protest, and emphasized that the company has taken measures to ensure a basic level of supply to customers and minimize the impact of this strike.
The Kremlin says any U.S. attempt to compel countries to use the U.S. dollar would backfire after U.S. President-elect Donald Trump threatened to impose tariffs on BRICS countries if, in fact, they create their own currency.
Kremlin spokesperson commenting on U.S. President-elect Donald Trump's threat to impose tariffs on BRICS countries if they create their own currency said on Monday that any U.S. attempt to compel countries to use the dollar would backfire. Moscow said the dollar was losing its appeal as a reserve currency for many countries, and the trend was gathering pace. Trump demanded Saturday that the 9 nations bloc commit to not creating a new currency or supporting another currency that would replace the dollar, saying they would otherwise face 100% tariffs. Leading politicians in Brazil and Russia have suggested creating a BRICS currency to reduce the US dollar's dominance in global trade. But internal disagreement in the alliance of Russia, China, Brazil, India, South Africa, Iran, Egypt, Ethiopia and the United Arab Emirates has slowed any progress.
Vanuatu finds itself on the front lines of a climate crisis that it did not create, says Ralph Raganvanu, the envoy for climate change and the environment for the small island nation. The statement was made at the United Nations highest court.
Vanuatu, a small island nation, called to define country's legal responsibilities regarding climate change, highlighting the existential threats it faces. Ralph Raganvanu, the envoy for climate change and the environment of the small island nation, said that during hearing at the UN court.
Yet today, we find ourselves on the front lines of a crisis we did not create. A crisis that threatens our very existence and that of so many other peoples who have come in unprecedented numbers to be heard by this court.
Raganvanu stressed the case's importance, pointing to the damage already inflicted on Vanuatu and the broader threat to humanity.
At issue in this case is the legality under the entire corpus of international law of a certain conduct displayed by specific states over time, which has interfered with the climate system to a point that has already resulted in injury to Vanuatu and that threatens the survival of my people and of humanity as a whole. The current emission reduction commitments of states, even if fully respected, will see a catastrophic increase in temperature.
The problems faced by small island nations were also discussed at the largest UN climate conference, COP29, in Baku in November, highlighting the urgent need for global action. The court is hearing testimony from small island states as well as major emitters like the US and China and OPEC, with proceedings continuing until December 13 and a ruling expected in 2025.
Meantime, the United Nations estimates that restoring degraded lands and combating desertification will require at least $2.6 trillion by 2030. To achieve this, the UN urges more private sector investment, stating that public funding alone will not suffice. The UN reports that 15 million square kilometers of land are affected by desertification. 2 years ago, only $66 billion was invested in land restoration, far short of the $278 billion it says is needed annually. The head of the UN Convention to Combat Desertification urges the private sector, which currently contributes 6% of the funds, to increase its efforts. The 2-week UN talks that started in Riyadh aim to boost efforts and raise more funds for land restoration. Protests continue in Tbilisi for a 5th straight night over the government's decision to delay EU accession talks until 2028. The opposition accuses the ruling Georgian Dream Party of adopting anti-Western, pro-Russian policies.
Thousands of people gathered outside Parliament today for the 5th night, triggered by the ruling party's decision to suspend the push to start talks on joining the European Union. They are against Prime Minister Irakli Kobakidze's decision to suspend EU accession talks until 2028. President Salome Zurabishvili, who supports joining the EU, has asked the Constitutional Court to annul the election results and declare the new legislature and government legitimate. Voices of protesters spread through not only the streets of Tbilisi, but also at least 8 cities and towns. Some gathered outside Georgia's state television first channel to broadcast their message live. Police used tear gas and water cannons to dispel the crowds. The ruling Georgian Dream Party accused the EU of blackmail following the European Union's call for a rerun of last month's parliamentary elections, citing significant irregularities. Prime Minister says he rejects calls for new elections. The EU and the United States are alarmed by what they see as Georgia's shift away from a pro-Western path. Georgian Dream says it's acting to defend the country's sovereignty against outside interference.
Guinea-Bissau and Azerbaijan hope to strengthen their diplomatic relationship. Foreign ministers of the two countries met in Baku to discuss bilateral cooperation. During the meeting with his Azerbaijani counterpart, Ceyhun Bayramov, Guinea-Bissau's Foreign Minister Carlos Pinto Pereira said 7 members of their delegation previously studied in Azerbaijan. The ministers discussed prospects of increasing mutual contacts, developing the legal basis of collaboration, and the exchange of experiences between the two countries.
As we know, we have also some minerals in our country. And Azerbaijan is a very rich country in this area. So we have a lot to learn with you, and we want you to share your experience with us. And we are sure that sharing this experience, you are helping us to improve our development of the system. Training is the most important issue for it. We hope that this year, next year, we will start our program. We will start our program of training Guinea-Bissau students in Azerbaijan. We identify a lot of areas, the near the medicine are the most important areas, teacher, the most important area, and as soon as possible, we will study a list of students that we want to pursue for that country. Azerbaijan devlet şirketleri
Azerbaijan will share its experience in this area, as well as the experience of relevant state-owned companies in creating projects and a legislative framework. Today, the issue of providing scholarships to students from Guinea-Bissau in Azerbaijan higher education institutions was also discussed. During the visit, these issues will also be discussed, and the meetings will be held at the Azerbaijani Ministry of Science and Education and higher education institutions regarding student exchange. According to the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, Turkey's arms industry achieved significant growth last year, driven by increased exports and rising domestic demand. The country's top 3 manufacturers, Aselsan, Baykar, and Turkish Aerospace Industries, ranked in the world's top 100 arms producers.
Baykar, an armed unmanned aerial vehicles manufacturer, saw its arms revenue surge by 25% to $1.9 billion in 2023. The company climbed 10 spots in CIPRI's rankings, securing 69th place. Turkish Aerospace Industries recorded the largest year-over-year revenue growth among Turkey's top defense firms, with a 45% increase. Its 2023 arms revenues reached $1.7 billion, 31% of which came from exports. This growth propelled TAI to 78th place in CIPRI's rankings, up 10 spots from the previous year. Unlike Baykar and TAI, Aselsan drives the majority of its revenues from domestic sales, with arms revenues totaling $2.4 billion in 2023, an increase of 12%. Aselsan ranked 54th on CIPRI's list. The company's growth was largely fueled by Turkey's push for self-reliance in defense manufacturing, as Aselsan continues to supply advanced systems to Turkish security forces.
Ski season is underway at the Atabara Ski Center in the Mersivan mountain in Turkey's city of Artvin. Snow is already around 90 centimeters thick after heavy snowfall.
At an altitude of 2,200 meters, the Atabari Ski Center in the northeastern part of Turkey is ready for ski enthusiasts again. Surrounded by forests, the resort in the snow-capped mountains offer activities for all levels and ages. Artvin governor says that the proximity of the resort to the city centre is an important advantage.
Gayet güzel bir ortam.
There is 80 to 90 centimeters of snow in the facilities. We see that there is big interest already since we opened at the weekend. We came here to examine the facility and listen to the demands and requests of the citizens. It's a very nice environment. The snow quality is very good. We are waiting for more ski enthusiasts to arrive. The ski resort is one of our tourism assets. The environment in Attabari is very beautiful. The view is magnificent.
Visitors can try skiing, snowboarding and sledging, and there's support from the experts at the centre.
Looks like a lot of fun. Well, that'll do it for us. Thank you so much for watching ANewZ. Please stay tuned and up to date by visiting us online at anewz.tv. Bye for now.